Greetings, talkative, sociable, outgoing Gemini. My name is Eliane Nicole. I'm an astrologer and tarot card reader, and now I'm going to do the October 2020 tarot and astrology forecast for the sign of Gemini. And I'm going to start out with the tarot reading, and in the second half of the video, I'm going to talk about some of the planetary transits for Gemini in the month of October, because there is just so much going on in the October sky. It is such a dynamic sky. I encourage you to follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, because there I'm going to be doing day-to-day and weekly updates in my stories and in my feed about, what's going on as it happens. But today I'm going to try and give a brief, broad stroke overview. So as we enter the month of October, Gemini, you have the Three of Swords reversed. So it appears that your heart is healing, perhaps. And you are covered by the King of Pentacles reversed. And this looks like a man and a financial or business concern. And you were crossed by the Two of Pentacles. So it looks like in the month of October, you are making a decision, and you are probably weighing the pros and cons of that decision throughout the month. And the basis of the situation is the Eight of Wands. So this has to do with moving forward. For some, this could be a literal trip or journey. But for many, it will just be more figuratively the concept of progress, forward movement, action. What's leaving is the Emperor. This is a man. The Emperor is usually a male authority figure. It can be a husband, a boss, a landlord. He can represent the establishment, the patriarchy in general as well. What could come into being? So around mid-month, it looks like there could be an issue with a child and their school or their work. And if you don't have children, then this could be maybe a new business venture or a financial situation that's delayed, or it could be like a missed opportunity of some kind. What will come into being around mid-month is the Ten of Wands reversed. This looks like you're lightening your load, you're releasing some burdens, and this could be, again, a literal representation of this card, but it's also can be more metaphorical, and you could be lightening, getting rid of baggage, getting rid of shame, getting rid of guilt, these kinds of things. Any of those would be fitting for that card. Fears or insecurities. So this is work, around work. It could be around your craft, your skill. It could be around a collaboration or starting a project with someone. Others see you as justice reversed. So maybe someone thinks that you are being unfair. Your positive feelings are the Four of Swords reversed. So this is coming out of a period of reflection, reclusion, retreat, meditation, having turned around your ideas about something. And the outcome, again, the Six of Swords reversed. So it looks like by the end of October, you have turned around your ideas about something. And as a result, you are going from choppy emotional territory around this topic to a calmer, more serene space. And that's at the end of the month. So that is the tarot overview for Gemini. And, even there's a lot more I could say about these cards as well. But, as always, I want to make these videos brief, so I'm going to keep it moving. And I'm going to talk about mainly just the three big moons of October, as well as the planetary ingresses And then as far as all of the more specific aspects that are going on, and there are some really interesting ones going on in October, it's too much. If you've been following me, you know that September 9th through November 13th are the dates that Mars is retrograde. And so overall, in an already very intense dynamic year, this period is the most intense and dynamic. And so October is the center of that. We are in it. We are on the front lines. We are in the trenches. And, it is full on Mars retrograde season. I mean, things are on fire. The heat is on. The competition is on. The hunt is on. It's on. And, this season is just asking all of us to, how we channel our anger, our frustration, our irritation, our rage, and it's asking us what is worth fighting for in life. And that is something that the collective is going through, and it's manifesting in our charts in different ways. But for Gemini in particular, Aries is in the house of friends, and it can be business associates or groups, organizations that you belong to as well. It can be teams, things like that. And so Mars retrograde in that area brings a lot of focus to that house for Gemini in the month of October because, the full moon of Aries, October 1st, is in the same house. And so this Aries full moon is really igniting that 11th house for Gemini, and because it will be interacting with Chiron, Eris, Mars, and the black moon Lilith in that 11th house of friends. So it can be a very inflammatory full moon. In general, Aries and Gemini, that's a sextile relationship, and so it's a good relationship. This could be very stimulating to Gemini, and I think it could stimulate you into action of some kind. And there are healing aspects of this full moon. In general, it's bringing illumination around the house of and the topic of friends, groups, business associates for Gemini. October 2nd, Venus moves into Virgo. When Venus moves into Virgo, it moves into Gemini's house of home. And this is particularly the Gemini rising personality, but it will be fitting for the Gemini sun as well. And with Venus traveling through Virgo in your house of home, it looks like you are really going to be probably doing creative work around the home, like beautifying the home. It may be interior design work. It might be doing very detail-oriented work around the beautification of your home. And that will be the whole time Venus is in Virgo from October 2nd through October 27th. That'll be a big theme. October 4th, Pluto goes direct in the 8th house for Gemini. So the 8th house has been a big house for Gemini this year, the Gemini rising personality especially, but this applies if you have a Gemini sun too. And basically, everything has been retrograde in that house. Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Pallas Athene since May. And it started to loosen up in September. Pallas Athene went direct September 5th. Jupiter went direct September 12th. Finally, Saturn at the very end on the 28th, 29th went direct. Well, Pluto is the final, board member to kind of go direct also. So it's really loosening up this 8th house for you. So all of these issues that have been pent up in that house are going to start, and you've probably been having to do a lot of rethinking and re-strategizing and reimagining and recalibrating in these 8th house issues. Now, the 8th house is most commonly associated with other people's money. So we look at this house for, you know, for fundraising, for donors, but we look at it for investors. We also look at it for our spouse's money, or just other people's money. It's the house that we look at for inheritances, wills, alimony, settlements, loans, debts. All of that is the 8th house. The 8th house also has to do with death and rebirth, regeneration, transformation. You know, so it's been a very transformative, dynamic time, 2020, in that house for the Gemini rising personality especially, but also the Gemini sun will relate to this. For the Gemini sun, it's secondary, and I encourage whatever your rising is, watch that video, because that's really going to speak to you. If you don't know your sun, moon, and rising, contact me for a reading. Anyway, so Pluto direct, let me move on. On October 13th, Mercury goes retrograde. We've been in the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde since September 24th. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of how we think, how we speak, how we write, how we listen, how we learn. The planet of the intellect. And when Mercury is retrograde, commonly there are a lot of errors, miscommunications, hiccups with travel plans, hiccups with communication, you know, deliveries, messages, all the mercurial kind of things, counting, tallying, you know, all of that can have errors during the Mercury retrograde period. So it's you know, and it's retrograde for the whole 3 weeks leading up to the election. It stations direct the day of the election. You could not write this 2020 script. I mean, we even have a blue moon in 2020 at the end of October. And you know, we all know the phrase once in a blue moon because they're so rare. Well, of course, 2020 has one on Halloween. So yeah, we are in the, you know, in the thick of it. And Libra season in general is a great season for Gemini because Libra trines Gemini, and so that's a very harmonious flow of energy. And Gemini is usually very social during Libra season, and you know, very creative as well during Libra season, because Libra is, you know, ruled by Venus, and it's the planet of it's the sign of art and beauty. It's also the sign of justice. So all of these are big themes during Libra season. However, because of this cardinal cross that we're in with all of these Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde happening in Aries, and the Capricorn council of your 8th house, it's making Libra season a little bit more tense, argumentative, filled with conflict and debate, fighting, differences of opinion. All of that is really big in Libra season this year for the collective, and then it's also happening in our charts too. For Gemini in particular, the Mercury retrograde will be happening beginning in your house of health. So there could be miscommunications around that area of your life, but there could also be miscommunications or mistakes or hiccups with regards to your daily routine or your work in that period. Then it backs up into Libra, which is your 5th house. So then there's miscommunications, hiccups, whatever, around the area of children, and also around the area of your creative projects, fun, games, hobbies, things like that when it gets into your 5th house. Mercury retrograde backs up into the 5th house, the 27th. So the 13th through the 27th, it's in your 6th house, health and fitness, work, daily routine. And then at the end of the month, the 27th until the 3rd, it'll be in your Libra house. And that's the creative projects, the children, stuff like that. So that's the timing on Mercury retrograde. And then October 16th is the new moon in Libra. So new moons, of course, are always a great time to plant the seeds of intention that you want to manifest. I always recommend a new moon ritual, an altar or something. Again, this new moon, you know, it's square Pluto. in Capricorn, square Saturn in Capricorn, and opposing Mars in Aries. And so for you, that's bringing together the 8th house, the 12th house, and the 5th house. So yeah, October 18th, Ceres goes direct in Aquarius, and for you, that is in the house of spirituality, higher truth, religion, exploration, travel. It looks like you may be finding new ways of nurturing yourself or others. If you are a mother, you might be finding new and unconventional ways of introducing spirituality or religion or higher truth to your kids. You may take your kids on an unconventional trip. Even though I know traveling isn't big right now, it might be a more metaphorical trip. And so things like that when Ceres goes direct in that house. October 22nd, the sun moves into Scorpio, Vesta moves into Virgo, and this is about devotion, and this is bringing together your Virgo house of home and your Scorpio house of your daily routine, and they're forming a sextile. And so it looks like you could really be bringing a devotional practice into your home, into your daily routine, something like that that's going to be really fertile and creative and beautiful for you. And then October 27th, Venus moves into Libra, where it's exalted. Hallelujah. This is a very creative period for Gemini, starting October 27th the whole time. Venus is in Libra. It'll be in your 5th house of creative projects. This is also a really beautiful time if you have kids. This is going to be, it looks like a really great time period for them. So, and also October 2nd, Mercury moves retrograde in Libra. So there is also the flip side of that. There could be some communication, miscommunications, things like that within that 5th house of creative projects, also the house of children. So mix-ups in scheduling for them, mix-ups in plans. It's not big deals with Mercury retrograde. It could be technological things for your kids, stuff with technology. Nothing big, just a transit, just a description. And then October 31st is the blue moon. So it's the blue moon on Halloween. For you, that is in the blue moon in Taurus. It's in your house of hidden karma, Gemini. So that's a very mysterious house. It is going to illuminate the unseen for you. It is going to illuminate possibly something that's been in your blind spot. It's going to illuminate possibly something that has been hidden, something that you haven't seen. The 12th house is the house of, it can be mental health issues that it brings illumination around. It could also bring, jails, hospitals, institutions. Confinement is ruled by the 12th house. So if you or anyone you know is in that kind of situation, it can bring clarity or light around that issue. And also this full moon is conjunct Uranus, also in your 12th house. And so it's bringing a surprise, So that's the end of the month. Thank you for joining me. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. I hope you liked it. Please follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole. As I said, I wasn't able to do all the transits. There are so many interesting things happening. And the planets are spiritual guides for us to navigate all of this wonderful energy. And so I share about it more regularly on my Instagram. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please share this video with other Geminis and definitely contact me for your own personal tailor-made October reading. It's a great time to look at October and just, to the end of the year. It's 4th quarter, so it's a great time to have your transits done. And I thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful October, Gemini.